All right, so today we're diving into something pretty different. Using AI to supercharge our D&D games. Mm-hmm. And before you picture, robots at the table, we're talking about the tools that AI can offer to help us craft those stories and, build worlds and maybe even roleplay a little bit better.
Right.
We're digging into some really cool articles, peeking behind the scenes with the developers who are actually making it happen. And honestly, I'm a little giddy about this. How is this even possible?
That's pretty wild.
It is.
Yeah.
So by the end of this deep dive, hopefully you'll have a good grip on how AI is changing the game.
Literally.
Literally, yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And, more importantly, how you can use these tools to kind of up your game for your next session.
For sure.
So I imagine this. You're prepping for a game.
Okay.
And instead of hitting a wall, trying to come up with your character's, super tragic past or trying to cobble together a town on the fly, you've got an AI there to lend a hand.
It's like a superpower.
It is. That's what we're talking about, making your D&D life easier, A&D more creative.
That's the dream.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's exciting, and I think this is a good way to kind of jump into it, is this goes beyond just automating the boring parts of prepping for a game.
Yeah.
We're at this really cool crossroads where technology meets creativity and where AI can actually make us more imaginative as dungeon masters and players.
Absolutely.
So that's actually what this first article, AI, Alchemy, and Procedural Generation, kind of digs into.
Okay.
And I don't know about you, but when I hear procedural generation, I don't know what that means.
It sounds intimidating.
It does a little bit.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's a fancy way of saying that the AI is using algorithms to create stuff that feels unique and interesting instead of just spitting out the same old tired tropes.
Okay.
Which I think is, everyone's fear with AI, that it's just going to be very repetitive.
Right, yeah.
But the author makes this point that I really love, and it's that using AI for D&D, it's not about replacing the dungeon master. It's about giving them superpowers.
It is, yeah.
Which I love that visual of. It's like having a co-DM who's read every single D&D book ever.
Oh, wow.
Can brainstorm with you 24/7.
That would be amazing.
And never gets tired.
Right. Sign me up.
Right. Where can I get this co-DM?
Yeah, seriously.
But it also, I think, challenges us to think differently about the creative process, right? These tools, they aren't meant to dictate what you create, but to help you kind of unlock possibilities that maybe you wouldn't have considered otherwise.
Totally. It's like having a masterclass in storytelling, but right there at your fingertips.
Right at your fingertips, exactly.
With AMD.
Yeah, and this article highlights how good these AI generators are at crafting character backstories.
Okay.
Which, let's be real, that can be a pain point for some players sometimes, right?
It can be.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we're not talking, generic cookie-cutter backstories either.
Right.
We're talking tragic pasts, quirky histories, hidden depths, the kind of stuff that makes your character jump off the page and feel real, relatable, ready for adventure.
Exactly.
And there's this one quote that really stuck with me. And it says that, and I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially, gone are the days of staring at a blank sheet, desperately willing an interesting past into existence for your half-elf bard, right?
Yeah, totally.
And it's true, having access to these tools, it could be a game changer, especially for newer players who might feel a little overwhelmed by the character creation process.
Absolutely. And for dungeon masters, imagine being able to quickly generate backstories for those NPCs that your players inevitably always want to interact with.
Yes.
It frees you up to focus on the bigger picture, the overall flow of the story.
Yeah, it's like having a team of invisible writers working behind the scenes to just make your game awesome.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Okay, but this next article, D&D Backstory Generator, AI Tabletop RPG Tools, this really blew my mind.
Okay, how so?
With just how much AI can actually make.
Okay.
This isn't just about backstories anymore.
Whoa.
We're talking taverns, we're talking magic shops, random encounters, even spaceships for those sci-fi campaigns.
Wow.
It's incredible, and it's not even just limited to things you'd expect.
Right.
There are generators for stuff that's so specific, so niche, that it makes you wonder, who thought of this?
Yeah.
Who needed this?
Right.
But it's out there, and you can use it.
That's amazing.
And get this, a lot of these platforms, freemium.
Oh, wow.
You can test them out without spending a dime.
That's huge.
Which is great, again, for both casual players and those who really want to dive deep into world building without breaking the bank.
Yeah, that's smart. That freemium model is genius, especially for, D&D players who we know love customizing their games.
Yeah. Yes.
and really getting into, all the little details of their characters and their worlds.
Yes.
By offering free access, these platforms can draw people in and then offer those, additional features, the bells and whistles, for the people that really want to, take their game to the next level.
It's exactly.
It's really smart.
And you know what else I think is really clever?
What's that?
The reliance on user-generated content.
Oh, interesting.
So you're not even just accessing AI-generated stuff, you're tapping into this ever-growing library of ideas from other passionate players.
That's cool, right?
Right. It's like this incredible collaborative storytelling network, but it's powered by AI.
I love that.
Right. And speaking of the people behind these tools, let's move on to some developer transcripts we got our hands on. We're going to hear directly from the creator of LitRPG Adventures, a developer named Paul Bellow.
Yeah.
And these transcripts are fascinating because they give us a glimpse into the why behind these tools.
Right.
We hear about Paul's own journey. He's a self-proclaimed old school gamer who really saw the potential of AI to revolutionize how we play RPGs.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's inspiring.
It is.
And what's really cool is that Paul's super dedicated to making LitRPG Adventures the best it can be.
That's awesome.
He's constantly listening to user feedback, adding new features. He even mentioned something kind of multi-step processes, which, I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what that means.
Right.
But basically, it means you'll have way more control over what the AI generates.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's not just random tables anymore. It's about interconnected worlds. It's clear this isn't just a side project for Paul. This is his passion project, and he's all in on empowering players and DMs with the power of AI.
Yeah, and that's what's so fascinating is how his vision goes beyond simply making life easier for dungeon masters.
Right.
Although that's a great perk.
Yeah.
But he wants to change how we interact with games, with storytelling, even with our own creativity.
It's a big goal. It is.
Yeah.
It's a big goal, but I like it.
I do too.
I'm here for it.
Picking up, where we left off, we were talking about Paul Bellow and his work on LitRPG Adventures. And I don't know, it's inspiring to see someone so passionate about using AI to really enhance tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, sure. But it also got me thinking about that question that we kind of touched on earlier. Will AI make our games too predictable?
Right.
If we're using algorithms to generate content, will every dungeon start to feel the same?
Yeah.
Will every NPC sound like a broken record?
Right. That's the fear, right?
Yeah.
That it's all just going to be very homogenized and lose that human touch that makes it special.
So how do we use these tools responsibly? How do we make sure that AI is working for us, not the other way around?
I think it starts with being intentional,
Oh, okay.
Before you even open up that AI dungeon generator.
You're right.
Ask yourself, what kind of experience do I want to create for my players?
Okay.
What makes this campaign, this world unique? What are my boundaries when it comes to using AI?
So it's like setting those ground rules for your players, except you're setting them for yourself and the AI that you're collaborating with.
Exactly. Just like with players, sometimes you need to rein in the AI a little bit.
Okay.
Nudge it back on track.
Right.
Or even just, hit that regenerate button until it gives you something that really sparks your imagination.
Right.
It's about being, an active participant in the process, not just passively accepting whatever the AI spits out.
Right. And this might mean getting your hands dirty, right?
Oh, yeah.
Taking that AI-generated dungeon and, really making it your own?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Maybe that creepy abandoned temple needs a secret basement filled with rubber chickens.
Yeah.
Or that, generic bandit leader is actually a master chef with, a really tragic backstory involving a stolen pie recipe.
Now you're speaking my language, yeah.
Right.
It's those unexpected details, those moments of humor and surprise that make a campaign memorable.
Yes.
And those, my friends, are things that AI can't replicate.
Right.
At least not yet.
Not yet, right. And those are the moments that make tabletop RPG so special, right? It's that shared sense of discovery and wonder that you can't get that from a video game or a movie.
No.
That's something to really cherish.
Yeah.
Even as we incorporate AI into our games.
Totally. And here's something else to consider. What if we use these AI tools not as a replacement for our own creativity, but as a springboard for collaboration?
Okay, now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
How would that work? Give me an example.
Okay, imagine you're starting a new campaign.
Okay.
Instead of spending, hours coming up with backstories for every single NPC, you use an AI generator to create like a few intriguing possibilities.
Okay, I'm listening.
Right. And then you present those options to your players.
Okay.
Let them choose which backstories resonate with them.
Okay.
Which ones pique their curiosity.
Yeah.
And suddenly you've got this shared history, this sense of mystery that everyone is invested in exploring.
It's like choose your own adventure, but on a whole new level.
Exactly.
And it takes some of the pressure off of the dungeon master.
Absolutely.
Because you're not the only one responsible for coming up with all the cool stuff.
Right. It becomes a true collaboration with the AI acting as this kind of facilitator, this catalyst for shared creativity.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe that randomly generated backstory about a talking badger with a gambling addiction will lead to the most epic side quest your group has ever experienced.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past a talking badger to shake things up.
Right.
But on a more serious note, like this idea of collaborative world building is really exciting.
It is exciting because at the end of the day, isn't that what makes tabletop RPGs so special?
Yeah.
It's the shared experience, the stories we create together that make them so much more than just games.
Beautifully said. And with that, let's take a quick break to gather our thoughts, process all of this mind-blowing information, maybe even brainstorm some ways that we can use AI to enhance our own games. We'll be back in a flash to wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts and maybe even a few resources to get you started on your own AI-powered RPG adventures.
Sounds good.
And we're back. Whew, my brain is like fried after that last segment.
Yeah.
We really went deep into how AI can change the way we, play RPGs.
Yeah.
From generating backstories to like literally building entire worlds. It's a lot.
It is. It's a lot to process, for sure.
It is.
And I think it's important to remember as we wrap things up here that AI isn't like this magic button for creating amazing games,
Right. It's not about replacing our creativity. It's about enhancing it.
Exactly.
But, with all this talk about AI, I think some listeners might be wondering, okay, but like, what does this actually mean for me as a player, as a dungeon master?
Yeah. What's the takeaway here?
Exactly.
That's the big question, isn't it? And I think the answer is both, like really exciting and a little bit unknown, right? We're on the cusp of something totally new here.
Totally.
Where, the lines between the player, the dungeon master, and even the game itself are starting to blur a little bit.
You mentioned earlier that AI could make game worlds feel more dynamic, more responsive to our choices.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little? Like, what could that actually look like in a real game?
So imagine, you're exploring a dungeon.
Okay.
And you decide to go off script, try something completely unexpected.
Okay.
Maybe you try to, reason with the goblins instead of fighting them.
Okay.
Or you attempt to, scale a wall that wasn't even meant to be climbed.
I like that. Okay.
Right. And this is where the AI comes in.
Okay. Okay. I'm with you.
Right. With the help of AI, dungeon masters could have these tools that allow them to improvise on the fly.
Wow.
Like, imagine an AI assistant that generates new challenges, new descriptions, even dialogue.
Wow.
Based on what the players are doing, right?
Yeah.
It keeps them on their toes.
Yeah.
It makes sure that no two playthroughs are ever the same.
That would be incredible. It'd be like having an entire team of writers and game designers, behind the scenes, just making sure that the story is fresh and unpredictable.
Working in real time.
Yes.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That's amazing. And it's not even just about reacting to player choices, right? Yeah. Like AI could be used to create more immersive, more believable game world.
Right.
Imagine NPCs with unique personalities, motivations, who remember your past interactions and change their behavior accordingly.
Mind-blowing.
Right. It would be like stepping into a living, breathing world where every character you meet, every place you visit, it feels real consequential.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
That's the promise of this technology, and it's a future I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
But we also have to acknowledge that there are still challenges.
Of course. Yeah, there always are. What are some of the challenges that you see?
Well, for one, we need to make sure that these tools are actually accessible.
Right.
To everyone, not just, experienced programmers or developers.
Right. We don't want AI to create a division between the haves and the have-nots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We need to make sure these tools are affordable, that they're user-friendly,
right,
available to anyone who wants to use them to tell their stories.
It should be democratized.
It should, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's the takeaway? What can our listeners do to kind of prepare for this AI-powered future?
That's a big question, yeah.
It is, but I think the most important thing is to stay curious.
Okay.
To keep experimenting.
Yeah.
And to approach these tools with a sense of wonder and excitement.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to break the mold, right?
Exactly.
And like really see what happens when you combine the power of AI with your own creativity.
Because at the end of the day, at the heart of it all, it's about that human connection.
It is.
These tools are amazing. They can enhance our games in incredible ways, but they can never replace the joy of coming together with friends, telling stories, sharing laughter, creating memories.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. So go forth, my fellow adventurers.
Yes.
Embrace the possibilities.
Explore, experiment.
Explore the world of AI-powered RPG tools. Experiment. See what kind of amazing stories that you can tell.
I love it.
And if you're looking for a good place to start, be sure to check out our show notes for links to LitRPG Adventures and all those other awesome resources that we talked about today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Until next time, may your dice rolls be ever in your favor.
And may your AI-assisted adventures be legendary.